Welcome to the Bladtcast. Joining me now is Danny Rossi, who we talked to about a year ago about his band, The Outliers. But today, we're talking about a new project, Dr. Groove. Welcome back to the show, Danny. I appreciate you taking the time to talk.
Oh, thanks for having me, bud.
So, at some point we'll get caught up on what's going on with Outliers, but I want to know, how does Dr. Groove come about? What's the difference between this and what you had been working on? And there's a great video that people can find on your YouTube channel. It's called Intoxicated, parentheses, you're all I need. And they can just look up Danny Rossi, Dr. Groove on YouTube to find it. So, how does that song come about? And how is it different from what you had been working on previously?
I've always collaborated with other musicians my whole life, and I've always, been part of songwriting. But this time, I'm doing everything. It's a lot of work. um, but I just felt I had to get a creativity out of me and just like what I like. And and don't get me wrong. I mean, with the Outliers, we're still working on stuff, and we got a show coming up. Just a small set that we just decided to do for kicks. Somebody invited me to do a 30-minute set, so I'm like, you know what, this would be a good time for the Outliers. And but I really just wanted to get my own stuff out, so I just started writing music, and then when I had enough songs, I sat with my buddy and producer Kevin Jardine, and I showed him what I got. I go, dude, am I going somewhere, or am I just crazy and this is all crap? And he's like, no, man, we got something here. So we just started recording. I mean, that's basically it. And it's just I'm just everything is coming from what I feel, and it doesn't mean it
Right.
does. It's not like I'm putting some sort of boundaries on it. Okay, I have to sound like this. It's like, no, one song might be heavy, one song might be poppier, and like I don't care because I just want to do this.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, I think it's great to not have it, pigeonholed as any one thing. And
Yeah.
the video shows, you in a studio, and then there's some other guys, playing guitar and some other stuff, separately from you. So, who did you work with on this track in particular, "Intoxicated"?
So this track, so once I showed, I'll go back just one step. Once I showed
Yeah,
Kevin
sure.
all the stuff I had, he's like, "What are we gonna do?" And he's like, "Do you want to hire musicians?" And I'm like, "No." And I'll tell you why. Because anybody can hire somebody, and they're just gonna play it like a robot, note for note. Not everybody, but a lot of people. I said, I want to get people who want to be involved. I'm trying to do something fun here with all the musicians I know, mostly local here in Montreal, and a few that I've met over the years touring and whatnot in the United States mostly. And I said, I'm just going to ask people, and they can say no. It's okay. I'm not going to take offense. So basically, for this track, we got, I mean, now he's become a good friend. I knew and a fellow musician, Steve Creep, who did the drums. He's an awesome human being. He's a multi instrumentalist. This guy does everything. So I was happy to have him on playing drums. Kevin, the producer, is actually playing all the guitar parts for the song, and even the bass for the recording. Then we had my buddy John from the Outliers. We always shoot music back and forth to each other, and he's like, I'm like, dude, he's like, good song. I'm like, dude, if you want, I mean, the solo's all yours. And he's like, all right, I'm happy you asked. I'm so glad, and that's the enthusiasm I'm looking for, really. So we had all the music settled, and then I had 10 people singing because I had this huge, crazy idea of creating a choir for the song. Um, Once we changed the chorus, and that's part of the old chorus when people hear it, and it ended up becoming the outro, the choir style in the song.
Well, and I think the interesting thing is what you said. Your friend was excited to do it, and that's what you want, not like you told the producer. Yes, you can, get some people to get some studio time, and they'll do it, but for somebody to hear what you're working on and be like, yeah, I want to be in on it. I think obviously you're gonna, it's one, be a better experience for you, but probably, and not even probably, I'm sure the end product is much better when it's people that are excited to play with you on this, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I want to bring people together, and you know, just in the singers, it's not people. Not everybody on there is a rock singer, but it ended up working out because I was looking for a choir feel in a rock song. So that's the whole point. I want people to want to do this, and even the people, some of the musicians that came in to sing, they didn't have any prior experience in studio. It just I know two of the girls, they have just beautiful voices, and I really wanted them to sing. And they're like, I don't know, I'm shy, I'm shy. I'm like, believe me, you're gonna sound so great because I know how you sing. You know, maybe should have gotten them liquored up a little bit first, but we didn't. You know, we want to keep it professional. You know, but yeah, it came out great.
Yeah, no, and I mean the and obviously the vocals are great. You know, it's a very catchy song in the best way, and you're just
Thank you.
musically. I've listened to it a bunch of times. You know, getting ready to talk to you. And by the way, in the live chat we have let's see, Jeremy Grove. Nope, what is his name? Jeremy White. Sorry,
Oh
Jeremy
yeah,
Grove is
he's
somebody
one of
I'm
my buddies.
and
He actually
and he
sang
says,
he sang
"Hey,
some of the.
Doctor Groove." Yeah. So there we go. Just wanted to give Jeremy the shout out. Thanks for watching along. So
And thanks for singing on
the
the
song and singing on the song. So look at that. It's a, you know, a guest appearance from a guest vocalist. So the song's been out there for a little while. You know, I feel like you put it out a couple weeks ago, judging from the YouTube channel. What's the feedback you're getting from people who've had a chance to hear it?
Um, I am so like, overwhelmed by the feedback. Everybody is telling me how much they love the song, and that's all I want. I just want people to like it. It's because you know you can sit and write whatever you want at home and strum an acoustic guitar and piece songs together. You're gonna like it because you wrote it, but it means so much more when people tell you how much they love it. Or um, I've had a couple of people tell me, "I can't stop singing your song. I'm in the car and I'm singing it," and I'm like, "Wow!" I just love hearing that, and
Yeah.
it feels so good. Honestly, it just feels so good to hear that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so the song's out there, and I understand that it's part of an album eventually that at the moment is untitled. Have you already worked on some other songs, or you just have ideas, or where are you at in terms of putting more together for the album?
Okay, so between getting studio time, I think we started in December. I had done one
Mhm.
session, and then obviously it's the holidays, and then after Kevin was on vacation for a couple of weeks, and uh, and we were basically working once a week. I was going in and showing him the stuff I got, just so we can lay down some tracks. So how we were doing it is, I'll show him the song. Here's what I wrote. Then as a producer, you know, he'll clean it up. You know, maybe you know, okay, transition here, blah blah blah, all that stuff. Then we built the drums to get the vibe of the song. I would take it home. I would write the bass tracks for it. And as a teenager, I started playing bass. Before I sang, before I played guitar, I played bass. So for me, bass is very important. It's a big backbone of the song, especially when it grooves with the drums and some counter melodies with the vocals. Like I love bass. So the bass lines have to be they're very important to me. They just have to be great. And we were basically about 6 songs in working that way, getting the scratch tracks done, and we got to this song, what became intoxicated, and Kevin would actually just like bounce the song, send it to me, and I'd be listening to it in the car on the way home. As soon as I heard it, I messaged him. I'm like, okay, dude, go change of plans, and he answers back, of course, because he's used to me and my
Sure.
my like, okay, we're gonna go here, we're gonna do this. He's used to my I guess maybe a little neurotic, and he says, okay, so what do you want to do? I said, I want to record this entire song. I want to release it. I said, and then I'll come back once I'm done doing all the stuff for this, and we'll continue the rest of the album. So I think I was 6 songs deep, maybe seven. I don't even remember because I just had to push everything away and concentrate on this. And it took me a while actually to get everybody in the studio to sing. I had to do it on multiple occasions. Just
Yeah.
everybody's got a different schedule, and also what he's got available as studio time. When he doesn't have other acts in as well.
So, so you've got those other songs, but the focus obviously being on this one. Is there a goal of like, I'd like to have an album out, early next year, or is it just going to be whenever it's done is when it's done?
The truth is, I would have loved the whole album to be done and ready, like 2 years ago. But um,
Right.
there's no point in rushing it. I mean, you're gonna rush it
Yeah.
for what? I want every song to get the love it deserves. Because I have no time crunch or anybody on my back. Okay, it's got to be done. Okay, now the single's out. The second single's got to come out with release of an album. I don't have any of that. And maybe as we go along and be like, okay, songs 2 and 3 are ready. Okay, let's just master them and put those out while I continue the album. Like I'm just gonna go, step by step. I'm no rush as long as it just gets done.
Right, and you had mentioned earlier that you have a live show with the Outliers coming up, so you're obviously able to do both of them. What's going on with the Outliers apart from that show?
So we, after we released the last track, we were already working on our second one, and we had it, and but the problem is that we couldn't find a bass player, or the other bass player who did the first track wasn't available anymore, and that's okay. So besides getting about a million messages of, oh yeah, I'll do it, and then never getting a track, I'll get to you next
Right.
week. I'll get it to you next week.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the story of our lives. I think it's become a big joke. So like recently, I'm like, okay, guys, you know what? I'm feeling very creative these days. I'll just, you know, start writing some bass tracks. And John, he recorded a solo album too, and he recorded all his bass tracks. So I said, if we put our two minds together, I'm sure we'll find something that we're gonna like. And that's what we did. We ended up just working together. We got together, worked on some bass tracks. I sent him stuff, he sent me stuff, and like I said, then we got together till we got what we liked. So now it's just a matter of just laying down the final track for the outlier for bass, and then me going to studio to record the vocals.
Right, and so and then the song we talked about last year was called "Light Me Up." Parentheses, enjoy the ride. I noticed a trend that the parenthetical shows up in both of the songs that you and
Yeah,
I
it
talked
just
about.
happened, right?
That was hey, look. There's some of the best songs in rock and roll have parentheses in them, so you're in good company. Which you could be in good company with bad company, but in any case, so you've got some other songs for the Outliers. Eventually, you're working on some Dr. Groove stuff, and in terms of finding, keeping in touch with you and where everything is, I mentioned there's specifically the YouTube channel for Dr. Groove, Danny Rossi. And I suppose that for our audio listeners, I'll spell out it's DANNY ROSSI. Just it's important when you're looking those things up so you can find stuff on YouTube. Is there like a one-stop website for everything, social media? Where do people find you? I know you and I are friends on Facebook, so where can people find you?
The truth is, I like to keep it simple. I'm not even overcomplicating anything. It's just Facebook and Instagram. I don't like to complicate myself. It's already one too many.
Two,
But
two's too
oh no,
many,
it's true. I
but you
have
know that you need it. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially Instagram
Oh yeah,
now. I
no,
mean, it's
there's TikTok too, but like I mean,
wow.
I'm not
I
doing any
you
tortilla
know
challenges. All I'm doing is just posting some music and maybe me
yeah.
goofing around in studio. It's
I'm I'm not a good
yeah,
enough dancer for TikTok is what I decided, and
yeah. I don't dance
I
either.
and honestly, you and I are somewhere similar age. I feel like we're both too old for TikTok. When people talk about if somebody my age is on TikTok, I'm like, oh, that sounds like a cry for help.
Listen,
But
I mean, yes, sometimes
obviously,
I think so too, but like we can't judge.
yeah.
Everybody's going through something, I guess, right?
No, and look, and honestly, if somebody puts their band or if somebody's a comedian and they want to go out on all of them, I get it 100%. But I don't know. It's just I know I could tell pretty early on it's not for me. In terms of so basically they can find you Facebook, Instagram. What's the Instagram? Is it just Danny Rossi or is it
Good question. I'm gonna pull out my phone
I
because
didn't
I
mean to
have
put you on the
no
spot,
idea.
sorry. Because
It's okay.
sometimes it's like it's like so and so musician or so and so music or official.
Oh yeah,
But
it's Danny Rossi, Doctor Groove. Yeah, okay, I did it
oh,
properly.
okay, Danny Rossi, Dr. Griff, perfect. Yeah, so
Yeah,
so that'd
all
be
with the
great.
underscore
And
Danny underscore Rossi underscore.
oh, okay, the underscores are important. And so you said that there's the one live show coming up. Is it a public gig? Is it a private gig, or is it something that people could find out about, or is it just more for fun?
Well, obviously it's going to be fun. It's two of the
Of
people
course.
in this song. The guy who played drums, Steve Creep, and he also sang backup vocals, as well as my buddy Peter, who sang vocals for the song. They're in a band called Playhouse here in Montreal, and they're just great guys. And I've been to see them a couple of times recently, and they just and actually I used to work with the bass player a few years back, Danny,
Hmm.
as was his name as well. And they decided to reach out. They're like, you got something going. Why don't you come do a set? And I'm like, okay, let me see if I can
Nice.
get a band together. Was my first question.
Right.
I'm like, because right now, like, we don't have a bassist there, and like I'm doing all my own stuff, so I'm not like concentrating on any concept of live show. So basically, I asked Max and John. I go, guys, do you down to do a 30-minute set? We can do obviously the Outlier song and maybe the second one that's just about ready. I go, if you want, we can do like my single. I'd love to do that if you guys are down. I said, John, we can do one of your songs from your thing. And then Max is like, hey, what if we do from my old band too? He was in a band called Pulse Ultra that was very popular
Okay.
for years. And and so I'm like, well, dude, I'm down. I mean, as long as we can make everything sound good. I said, I'm down. I mean, finish it off maybe with a couple of covers. It's 30 minutes, so it's going to be in and
Right.
out. Hit him
What?
and run.
And that was actually going to be my next question. When you're putting together a set sort of like that, and you have some like spots for like, okay, we should do a couple of covers. What are some of your go-to covers that you think are just the most fun for you and whoever is in your band at that moment to get up there and do? Do you have a couple of favorites that come to mind immediately?
Um, it's hard because it always depends on the crowd. But in a,
Sure.
in a
Yeah,
30
absolutely.
minute in a 30-minute hit him and run, I like to. I don't want to have any lulls in the set. It's like
Yeah.
I want people to feel like they just got like you know their faces melted off, and then they're gone next. Um, but like I mean, I'm like an Alice in Chains guy, so like Man in the Box is always a hard hitter. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe a Metallica song or Guns N' Roses song, like just as long as it's like I said, in and out, like hit 'em and run. Like I mean, honestly, I'd rather do all originals and maybe throw in one cover, but we're all over the place right now, like with our side projects and the Outliers thing together. So we probably just don't have enough material.
Yeah, and look, and sometimes it really depends on the amount of time you're playing, what the venue is. Sometimes, a couple of covers go a long way, for goodwill with
Oh
the
yeah,
crowd, if so but yeah, I mean
for
all
sure.
that
But it's
sounds good,
always well chosen covers. That's what I find. Like it's got to be well chosen. Um, like yeah, I mean, I watch enough music or live bands. Like just because you like a song doesn't mean it's going to go over well with the audience. The last thing you want to do is bore people or give them an excuse to go out for a cigarette or to the bar to get a drink.
Right.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, no, exactly. You don't want to lose their attention for any reason, sorry. In terms of just checking out live music, have you gone to see anything in recent months? Anything caught your eye, either a favorite band or something new up and coming that you've had a chance to see?
Um, I'll be honest, everything was just not working out with my schedule.
Oh,
Like
okay.
we had a bunch of stuff like in Montreal and then other stuff out of town as well that I just couldn't get to. Just my schedule wasn't working out. Um, but the no, I've just checked out like I said, my friend's Playhouse and then a couple of
Hmm.
other bands that were playing on the bill with them those two times. Did I go to anything else? No, because I've just been working on my own stuff. Yeah, I just went to those two, I think two
Yeah.
concerts, And again, it's just great to be out of the house and seeing some live music, and especially when it's original music all night. It makes me so
Sure.
happy that the scene is still alive. So it's good.
Yeah, I think when I talked to you last year, I'm in Los Angeles here in Montreal. I think that there were shows, they were few and far between. A lot of shows were getting canceled, just in terms of
Yeah,
going to see. But what I remember is that I remember you and I also talked a lot about Motley Crue,
yeah,
unless I'm mistaken. But yeah, I thought so. And
yeah.
I went to the stadium tour on Saturday here in Los Angeles. So
Nice.
it was Motley, Def Leppard, Poison, Joan Jett, and a new up and coming band called Classless Act. They get like 20 minutes at like 3:55 p.m. So it's good to be on a big bill like that, but there's not a lot of people in the stadium. But as the night goes along, it's great. And, it's, I saw Motley Crue on their quote unquote farewell tour back in
Me
2015,
too.
and seeing them again the other night. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. They didn't need to retire. I mean, people, the people can be very critical of Vince, but I'm like, have you ever seen him live? He kind of always sounded like this. He gives it
Yeah,
everything he's got. They've got good backup singers. The other guys can carry medley, and I mean, it's like I always think of Vince like David Lee Roth. They're not like amazing singers, but you're there because they're a front man, and they're good enough singers, and you're there really for the whole thing. And I don't know, I thought it was great. It was great to see, and all those bands, just to make a big day of it. It was fantastic. So I remembered that I was going to be talking to you this week, and I'm like, oh, and I know somebody that would have liked to have seen Motley this weekend.
yeah. The truth is, I could have gone to Toronto. They were here a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Um, I was like, do I go? Do I not go? I saw them last time. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
my brain wasn't there. I wasn't ready to disconnect from everything I'm doing to go out and see them. So I was like,
Yeah, and
yeah,
I mean,
you
and
know what?
maybe if it was in town, if it was in Montreal, it might have been easier for you to be like, yeah, all right. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
have to I don't
no
have to
doubt.
I don't have to
Yeah,
take that drive to Toronto, which I
yeah.
I
It's a
I
six
mentioned
hour
to you the last
drive,
time
and I just wasn't in the
I
mood.
did that drive once, and there just wasn't much to look at. It's
No,
beautiful like countryside, but sometimes you see interesting things when you're driving between cities. This was just like you get off, oh look, there's a Tim Hortons at this exit, and then you get off again and like, oh,
yeah,
there's another Tim Hortons. It's great. But
yeah. That's
yeah.
exactly what it is. Like traffic getting out of Montreal. 4 hours of nothing, and then
Yeah.
then another hour and a half of traffic once you hit the greater Toronto area. I'm
Right,
like, no
exactly.
thanks.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, obviously, Motley has a very interesting history, especially over the last 25 years. But I'd be
Oh yeah,
surprised if they don't stay at it for a little while now. I mean, they did the farewell tour, and maybe they'll do an actual like for the way that Kiss did a second farewell tour that's been going on for like 5 years now. So but
isn't this
I
Kiss's
would
like
be I
12th
would be
farewell
shocked
tour?
if you didn't. Yeah, right, exactly. It's the 20th anniversary of their farewell tour. But I would be surprised if you didn't get an opportunity to see them again. But I wanted to let you know that everybody sounded great, and it seemed like they were having fun, and it was just a big stadium experience, and I don't love seeing any kind of music in a big venue like that, but all these bands in
Yeah,
one spot, I think that's when I'll make the exception. Like the tour that I remember I think you weren't able to go to because there was rioting, was that Metallica, Guns N' Roses, and back in
yeah,
like 92. And that to me was like that, and Faith No More opened, shout out to them. But I went to Giant Stadium in New York to see that, and it was great, but I was so far away. It was like to just like
yeah,
see like the tiny, axles like this big. you know
yeah. I had the
but
same problem too. It was like far away.
yeah. For yeah, but like there are some shows that I'll do that for, absolutely. And then there's just others where it's like I don't want to see somebody in a venue that big. And usually when you see any of those bands, it's like a sort of a middle-sized arena. Like I saw Def Leppard a couple times over the last few years, and it's a little bit more manageable. But if the band knows how to do a stadium spectacle, and I'd say Motley Crue definitely knows how to do that. It was it was great, So I hope you're able to catch them at some point. They're not going anywhere. Yeah, they've already
Yeah.
retired, and then they realized they didn't like it. So they'll they'll
You know
keep
what?
at it.
They're all, each individual member. They're all better together. They're
Yeah,
playing the stage as that foursome. Like Tommy Lee. I'm a fan of even his solo stuff. It was great. Vince Neil. It was okay. It just sounded like Motley Crue, but it wasn't. Motley
yeah,
Crue was missing something. And I mean, Nikki Sixx. I know he had a few solo projects, and it was not until he had the 6 a.m. where it was really hitting like as a great act. But it's not Motley Crue. You put the four people in a room and there's magic happens.
yeah. No, exactly. And I think that some of your best bands, they realize that, I mean, it's not really a secret that Mick Jagger and Keith Richards don't really like each other, but they also know that this is the thing, this is so
Yeah,
let's make it work for as long as we need to, and I think the guys in Motley figured that out, I mean, they when I think about, Motley did that album with John Corabi, who I think is a fantastic singer. It's just
oh
not
yeah,
what people were expecting from Motley Crue. And you kind of feel bad that he gets kind of lumped together, with an album that honestly, that album's not, there's a couple of good songs on it, but it just, when I listened to it not that long ago, I'm like, it just doesn't sound like Motley Crue, and I think that they figured out pretty quickly that it's like we have to figure out how to make this work. And I don't know. I guess that's those are your best bands, the ones
yeah.
that they, I mean, Aerosmith's another good example of guys that don't necessarily all get along, but they're like, yeah, but this is the thing that really works. So
Oh, for sure. I
that's
always thought the
yeah,
Motley Crue album with John Corabi, um, it was probably, everybody was young and it was egos, but had they changed the name of the band and just did something new
yeah,
with a new name, I still think it would have been fantastic because I love that record, the sound. They were ahead of their time, but by naming it Motley Crue, people expected Vince's high vocals and a certain sound.
yeah,
And if you see the leftover from that album was the album after Generation Swine, and
yeah.
it was different for Motley Crue, and with Vince's vocals, it was just you know, it was a forgettable album.
Yeah, and I mean, and they started making that album with John Corabi, and he got like
Yeah,
co-writes on
exactly.
a lot of the Generation Swine songs, and according to him, he played guitar on a number of songs that actually, on the album, he played a few things because they I don't know, they always had issues with somebody. And I think at that point they had a
Yeah,
problem with Mick. But yeah, I do agree that if that Motley Crue album had come out and they called it something else, because I mean, it really is something else without Vince, I mean, a
yeah,
lot of people make the point that Van Halen with Sammy should have been called something else, but you still had Eddie in the band, so it made sense. It's just sometimes it just sounds so different, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. And yeah, I agree. There are some songs that I liked on that 1994 album. And it's funny you mentioned Alice in Chains because it had a little bit of that sound, and you're like, that's not what you expect
yeah.
from those guys. But
No, really not.
yeah, yeah, but they know that the thing now is to go out there and they I don't know. It's been a long time since they've done a new album. I know they did some songs for The Dirt, and that was one of the songs that they did was the song The Dirt. But it's I guess new albums aren't really what they used to be, and a lot of bands are like, we're gonna get together and we'll go play a giant stadium, but we don't necessarily know that anybody wants new stuff from us. But I'm always interested in hearing, a band like Cheap Trick, they put out a new album like every 2 years, and they're like, people will buy it or they won't. It's fine. We're still going to put it out and we're going to play a few of them, in concert. So
Oh, with the
I,
digital
I
age, I mean, you
appreciate
just
it.
can release it on the internet now.
Yeah.
You don't even,
Yeah.
you save all that overhead of printing CDs and, okay, make a few vinyl for a special
Yeah.
collector edition, and fleece the public with that, like $40 for
Yeah.
what's 14
Yeah.
bucks,
No,
like it's okay. Like, I mean, but you get to have something special. I'm okay with that. But yeah, the
yeah.
overhead, okay, all it is your studio time and then
Right.
just digital
Exactly.
release.
And those bands can take the time to do it and put it out and not worry about whether or not anybody buys it. And then of course you have the
Yeah.
extreme of like what Iron Maiden does, is just like, we've got this new album out, we don't really care if you like it, we're going to play 40 minutes of it to start the show. So strap yourselves in, you're going to hear the songs you came for, but you're going to have to wait. So yeah, look, and I think look, and then there's other artists who say that we don't think we're going to make any more albums because nobody seems interested. So it's like, that's fine too. If you don't have the passion for it, you shouldn't make a new album. But that's why I like talking to somebody like you. You're talking about how you got all this stuff in your head and you just want to get it out, and whether it's Dr.
Yeah.
Groove, whether it's Outliers or whatever it might be. To bring it full circle back to Dr. Groove, do you have a general idea when there might be another song out there, or the focus is really on Intoxicated right now?
I'm just focusing on Intoxicated right now. Like I said, have like 5, 6 other songs, pretty much ready to go, and ready to go. The scratch tracks are done.
Yeah, sure.
Bass lines have been written, and I have a few more still that I got to work on with Kevin in the studio. But I told him, I go, look, let me take care of this release with Intoxicated, and I said, and we'll get back at it. Like, I'm not in a rush. I just want it to sound good, song by song. We'll take each individual song and make it the best it can be, one at a time.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the beauty of being able to attack it one song at a time, because the song will be out when it's done, and then when enough songs are done, then you can put it out on an album. And it's not the reverse engineering of like, we have to sit down with at least 10 songs and they have to be done by whatever date that's circled on the calendar, and whether it's ready or not, we got to put it out. So I think that's sort of one step at a time approach, I think ultimately will give us, the listeners, a better product. So it'll be great to subscribe to the YouTube channel. People will know when there's more from Dr. Groove, and they can follow you, as you said, on Facebook and Instagram, and they'll know when everything's coming their way. Danny, thanks so much
I need
for
more
chatting with me.
subscribers.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
and it is Danny Rossi, Dr. Groove. Subscribe. I mean, it's not, you don't have to pay to subscribe. It's not like in the old days when my parents would subscribe to TV Guide. This kind of subscription is free. You just got to hit the little like, and then you're gonna, and then when Danny puts out new music, you're gonna know. So I am going to subscribe right after we're done. I was watching it earlier.
Awesome.
And I'm going to click on it. So, it's almost like, what? I can show people how easy it is to subscribe. It's really,
it really is easy.
It really is easy, because look, here we are now. For our visual audience, we're right here. And you see there's a big red button, that says subscribe. And now look, I'm subscribed. It took longer to share my screen to show people that I wanted to subscribe than it took to actually subscribe. Because that was like 4
Good. Now with you and my mom making fake accounts, I have 11 people subscribed.
It's perfect. And look, by the time people are listening to the audio version of this, I can almost guarantee you there'll be 14. But no, hopefully people hear this, and our audio audience is going to hear some of the song on the way out. So, but everybody else, just find it. You know what? I'll make it easy for everybody too. I'll tweet the link to the video for people who are watching this right now. And if you're friends with Danny, like Jeremy White, also a contributor, he's probably already seen it, if I had to guess, since he's on it. But you should listen to it again. Danny, thank you so much.
Too, by the way.
Who does? Jeremy has a podcast.
Jeremy, yeah. We got an awesome
what's
podcast.
His podcast called? We can give him a plug.
The Jeremy White podcast.
See, that's smart. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Well,
he's on the radio here locally in Montreal, so.
Okay, so he's already sort of got that. Yeah, my last name Bladt just sort of fit Bladtcast, but sometimes you wonder about people that just put their name on it and it's out there. And then every once in a while people get too cute, and then you're like, I don't understand what the name of that podcast means. So it's good to have some version of your name in there. Danny Rossi, thank you again, and I look forward to talking to you again soon when there's more Dr. Groove or Outliers or both. Whatever comes next. I'm looking forward to it.
Amazing. Thank you for having me, Christian. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you again.